Stop building AI agents. I taught LangChain. I taught Reg. I taught AI agents to 29,012 engineers on Udemy. 20 years at IBM Watson in California and Nike on the actual production teams that ship the systems people are now writing tutorials about. Then Anthropic shipped SKILL.md and made almost all of it optional. The framework era is over, and I am here today to show you what comes next. I want to do 3 things in the next 14 minutes. First, put the actual 16-line file on this screen, the one that made every animation you just watched. Second, walk you through 6 real people, 6 different countries, all running real one-person businesses with this file format. One of them is 67 years old. Third, show you the exact place you can start this Saturday for free. The link is in the description. Watch what one markdown file can build. A chain of skills running, a folder tree, code typing live, numbers cascading, hand-drawn diagrams, premium animations, everything you just watched. Made by Claude Code, reading one markdown file, no editing software, no render farm, no Python. Let me name something I think you are feeling right now, because if I do not name it, the rest of this video is going to bounce off you. Every month, a new framework. LangChain pivots and rewrites half its own documentation. Microsoft moves AutoGen into maintenance mode. CrewAI ships another version. LangGraph is now the recommended production layer except for the people who say it is not. The agent stack you learned in January is dead by April, and the course you bought to learn it does not refund itself. And the feeling you have? It is not I am a slow learner. It is not I should have started earlier. It is I am scared I will never catch up. The field keeps moving and I keep starting from behind. That is not a learning problem. That is a treadmill problem. And you can step off it, the chaos stops, you stop chasing, you just write what you already know how to write, and what you write actually runs. There is a quieter pain underneath the framework chaos, and almost nobody who teaches AI talks about it. You watch tutorials at night. You try to build something on a Saturday morning. You hit a wall around lunch. You do not know what good looks like because every example you find online is either a 200-line developer skill with YAML front matter on top or a 4-line stub that skipped all the interesting parts. You are learning AI on an island. That is the part nobody names out loud. And we are going to fix that today. So, stop building AI agents the framework way, stop chasing LangChain and every framework that came after it. There is a simpler way that you are not on yet, and it is not a tool, it is a methodology. 2 verbs, instruct and orchestrate. You instruct Claude by writing a markdown file telling it what to do. You orchestrate by chaining those markdown files into a pipeline that ships a real artifact at the end. The key file has a name, SKILL.md, and as Simon Willison, one of the people who actually builds with this, put it back in October. Skills are markdown files with a few lines of metadata at the top. That is the whole thing. That is the whole product. Markdown. This is not a methodology for engineers, even though my background is engineering. This is the new shape of a one-person business. A newsletter operator who writes one issue every Sunday. A faceless YouTuber shipping a video every Saturday. A solo consultant who needs to research, write, and format a client deliverable in 15 minutes instead of 3 days. A productized service, a course creator, a pre-seed founder running customer research and pricing and competitor scans on Monday morning while drinking coffee. A content engine, an outreach pipeline. Whatever one thing you ship alone, there is already a skill.md file for it. Okay, here's the file. But before I show it, 1 minute on a word you are going to see in every Claude tutorial, token. When Claude reads anything you give it, it does not read it the way you and I do in whole words. It breaks every sentence into small pieces called tokens. A token is roughly 3/4 of a word, sometimes less. The word hamburger can be 3 tokens. Ham, burger. The word token itself comes from linguistic research done in the 1990s, borrowed from Old English taken, meaning a sign or a symbol, the smallest meaningful chunk of language. When you write a skill.md file, every word in that file costs Claude tokens. Short is good, plain English is good. The simplest possible instruction wins. Watch. This is one of mine. It is called Generate Remotion Video. The file has 16 lines. The top of the file says name. That tells Claude what the skill is called. The next line says description. That tells Claude when to use the skill, what kind of request should trigger it. Then a few lines of plain English instructions about what the skill is supposed to produce. Then a final line that says, do not do these specific things. 16 lines, that is the whole skill. That is the whole skill that produced every animation you watched at the start of this video. There is no Python. There is no LangChain import. There is no framework. I wrote this file last Tuesday. It made the video on Wednesday. The thumbnail you are looking at right now came out of the same chain. One more word while we are here, markdown. Back in 2004, a writer named John Gruber got tired of writing HTML by hand, all those angle brackets and slash tags. So he wrote a tool that let you mark up text with simple punctuation, a pound sign for a heading, asterisks for bold. He called it Markdown because it was the opposite of markup language, which is what HTML stood for, markup, markdown. And if any of this is brand new, the foundation course covers every prerequisite, free. We will come back to it. Now, the proof that this file format is real. This is github.com/anthropic/skills. It is a public repository. Anyone can open it. Anthropic itself ships 17 skill.md files in production. PDF skill, Word skill, Spreadsheet skill, Slide skill, a skill called Skill Creator, and 12 more. And it goes way beyond the 4 file format skills you see on the Anthropic page. Newsletter operator, there is a skill.md solo consultant, there is one. Faceless YouTube, the one that made this, that is a skill.md too. 30 lines of plain instructions, that is all. 15,000 of the engineers I taught came through my AI agents bootcamp, 4.5 stars. Because the methodology works, a member inside Agent Skills Academy shipped a skill.md for her weekly podcast prep this week. Another one built a customer discovery skill for his solo SaaS launch on Friday, real files, real Monday morning use, and every one of these is free in the community. So where do the files live? There is a folder on your laptop. It is called .claude/skills. Inside that folder, every skill has its own subfolder, one per skill. Each subfolder has the skill.md file in it, plus any helper files the skill needs. A template, a saved prompt, a sample input. That is the workspace. One folder, one file per skill. The folder is where your one-person business lives. Okay, watch. This next thing is exactly the Chain 3 members built in the community last week. Different niches, same shape. This is the faceless YouTube skill. It is the same skill that made the video you are watching right now. One person at a desk. 8 to 15 minutes of actual operator time per video. Step 1. A skill called Write Script. That one reads the topic and writes the voiceover. Step 2. Production Plan. That one maps every line in the script to a visual scene with the right look. Step 3. Generate Remotion Video. That one makes the animation for every scene. Step 4. Generate AutoGen. That builds the talking head sheet for the parts where I am on camera. Step 5. Finalize Faceless Short. That one stitches the whole video into a single file ready to upload. 5 skill.md files. One chain, one operator, one business. 8 to 15 minutes of operator time. That is the one-person YouTube business. The skill is free in the community. You can run yours this weekend. School.com/agentskillsacademy. Link below. Instructions plus orchestration. That is all skill.md is. The phrase you will hear used by people who study this, the academic word, is context engineering. It has been in the industrial AI vocabulary since the middle of 2025. But the methodology is just those 2 verbs, instruct and orchestrate. That is the methodology, not a framework. 6 people, 6 countries, building right now. a working professional in Mumbai who writes one SKILL.md every Sunday to automate her weekly client reports. A consultant in London who chains three skills together to research, write, and format their weekly client deliverable in 15 minutes flat, what used to take a whole Friday afternoon. A retired engineer in Toronto, 67 years old, who built his first useful workflow on a Saturday. It took him an afternoon. A side hustler in Bangalore, 3 months into his newsletter business, using a skill chain to research and draft every newsletter issue he ships. A pre-seed founder in San Francisco who shipped a customer research skill, a pricing research skill, and a competitor analysis skill all chained together. She runs the chain Monday morning while drinking coffee, and by 10 a.m., she has the week's intelligence sitting in a folder. A finance professional in Dubai who automates his quarterly reports, saves 2 hours every week, and finally got Saturdays back. Different professions, different countries, different ages, different people, same primitive. If you are watching this and thinking, I am not a developer, this is not for me, stop. The whole point of skill.md is that you write what you already know how to write. Every brief you wrote for a colleague, every memo you sent, every set of instructions you typed into an email when you were going on vacation and someone else had to run the task while you were gone. That was practice. This is the same skill. You have been writing these your entire career. The only thing new here is the file name. Now I want you to hear the next part carefully. The technique I just showed you, the file, the folder, the chain, that is not the hard part. The hard part is doing this alone. Watching tutorials at midnight, hitting a wall on Saturday morning, not knowing who to ask, not seeing what other people like you are shipping. Wondering every Sunday if you are doing this right, if you are too late, if you are smart enough. That is the real friction, so I built a place to fix that. A place where Saturday morning is not lonely anymore, where the question you have at 11 a.m. gets answered by lunch, where someone in Mumbai who shipped what you're about to ship answers when you ask, where you stop wondering if you're behind because you're standing next to people who are exactly where you are. And here's where you start. The foundation course, and the course title is literally Foundation Skill.md for non-coders, is fully open, no login, no paywall. You can start reading it right now. The link is in the description. 7 sections in order. Prerequisites made simple. Install everything. The skill.md primitive. Write your first skill.md, run it in Claude Code, build and ship a real project, path forward, 30 to 60 minutes from open tab to working machine. By Saturday, you will have a working skill.md that automates one weekly task you have been doing by hand for years. Maybe your client report, maybe your newsletter prep, maybe your Monday metrics review. The community itself at school.com/Agent Skills Academy is also free. That is where the people are, real members, real questions, real builds. Join when you are ready to ship alongside them. Find me on Instagram and LinkedIn at Pragati Kunwer. Everything I ship goes there first. Build skills, not frameworks. Set up your machine this weekend. By Saturday, you'll close your laptop with one real skill.md file you wrote. Sunday morning, you'll run it. And the thing you've been doing by hand for years will happen by itself. That's the moment everything changes. I'll see you in the community.